Yeah. Right now I'm not sharing anything. Okay. Right now I'm not sharing anything. Like today we will start with the questions you have regarding Java till this session. Okay. So we'll try to answer those questions, and then we will proceed with our last session's topics. Okay. That is basics of Java. If time permits, we'll try to continue with the from where we stopped earlier. Okay, in our last session. So what I would like you to do now is just post your questions regarding all the sessions till now, whatever we have tried to cover. So we'll try to answer those questions. Okay. So going forward, what we will do is we will try to kind of answer the questions as much as possible during sessions. If we are not able to answer all the questions, you can send an email to your questions to the email ID which I just pinged. That is intuition.javatraining@gmail.com. For all your information, I'll type it again. Okay, it is intuition, INTUITION .javatraining@gmail.com. Okay, share it with your friends. Okay, so you may not be able to do this. All right, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'll share this email ID again in our next session, so that everyone gets this email ID. Or we'll ask Yuvraj to send this email ID to everyone who's attending the class. Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's get started with the questions you have. Okay. So no one has any questions? Yeah, if you raise your hand, I'll unmute you, and you can ask your question directly. No need to type on the chat window. Okay, that means whatever I taught you, you understood? All of you understood? Okay, cool. Thanks, Pragati. Thanks, Jay. Subhash, thank you. So no one has any questions? Okay, cool. Okay, looks like everyone understood whatever the topics we have covered. Okay, so did anyone try to, whatever the topics that we covered, right? We have seen how to write a simple class using class syntax, and we have seen how to write some simple statements. We have statements within system.out, not system.out, public static void main. Okay, did anyone try to write some simple programs? Even it may be like printing out some strings or something like that. Did anyone try till now? Cool. Okay, good. So all of you kind of like, even if you have faced any syntax issues, you might have fixed it, but you would have got some results, right? Whatever you are expecting. If you would have got whatever you are expecting with your simple programs, that is great. Okay. Okay. So you people don't have any questions. Okay. Hari Krishna has a question. Let me unmute him. Yeah, Hari, please go ahead and ask your question. I have unmuted you. Can you hear me, Hari? Okay, guess you wanted to tell he also tried. Yeah. So let me ask you some simple questions, okay? Till the sessions we had earlier. So did everyone understand what is a variable and why is it used? Okay. Okay. Did anyone try? Looks like okay, cool. Yeah. Did anyone try to do something like we just a basic introduction to arithmetic operations I gave yesterday? I mean last session. So did anyone try with creating multiple variables, adding, multiplying, dividing, or something like that? Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So since like all of you are working on whatever the topics that we have covered till now, so let me get started or continue the last topic. Okay, from where we stopped. Okay, our last topic was again it was like a core Java basics. Okay, so in the last session we tried to understand what are variables, how do you assign a value to a variable using assignment operators, and we tried to understand the pictorial depiction of our yeah, pictorial kind of like for our understanding. We try to understand, I mean, like, so how addresses, variables, addresses, and the values are associated with each other. Okay, and then we saw what are the strings and then string appending operators. Okay, so let us continue with this will not be a longer session. We will try to see whatever I can cover, I will try to cover. Okay. Okay, we'll start with the control statements. Okay, these two are simple control statements. This is also I have included so that we get started with some sort of like start programming and then start testing ourselves. Okay, with the knowledge that we have. Okay, let me share the screen. Can you all here see my screen? Okay, so let's get started with the two control statements. Okay, so the why do we call this as control statements? Because it like whenever you write a program without these control statements, the statements execute from the first statement sequentially till your last statement. Okay, we understood what is the statement in our last session, but here what happens is like we can alter the flow of your execution. That is what we call in programming language flow or the sequence of your program execution using these statements. Okay, we will just cover the very basics of these two statements, and we will see if there are any kind of like additional things that needs to be included for these control statements. Okay, these are just for our basic understanding and then getting started with very simple programs. Okay, so first is if statement. Okay, so normally what we do when we talk in English, right, we'll have some conditions. Okay, I'll go and ask my friend, say some 500 rupees. Okay, so he'll tell, okay, I'll give you 500 rupees only if you promise me to give on such and such date. Okay, return it back on such and such date, or return it back to me within 1 month or something like that. He will say, he will put a condition, right? Only if this particular condition meets, I'll give you amount, whatever the amount you asked. Otherwise, I will not give you. Or for that matter, you want to kind of like want to go and watch some movie. You wanted some money from your parents. So you will ask your parents to give money to watch the movie in theater. They'll tell, okay, I'll give you money, but you have to finish your Java programs, whatever your tutor has taught. Okay, so those are the conditions. That is where your if condition comes into picture. The same logic applies to programming language also. Whatever the programming language, the same logic applies. So here in Java also, here there is a control statement with name if. Okay, so it is simple. So you have like our normal English, right? You use if, right? It is similar to that one. It starts with if. Okay, and it you open parenthesis and close parenthesis. Within that, you mention some condition. Okay, that condition should return what are called as Boolean values. Okay, Boolean value is nothing but your logical values, if you can call, which will have either true or false. Okay, which will either have true or false. Okay, and then you open your set of statements that needs to execute only if the condition is true. That is, only if the condition is true. That is, my friend will give me money only if I agree to give him within a month or on such and such date. Okay, you will be able to go and watch movie only if you finish your Java exercises. Okay, because that is when your parents give you money. Okay, only if your conditions are Boolean condition is true, then only the statements within the flower brackets, curly brackets, right? This is curly bracket. The statements that is within this curly brackets are executed. Otherwise, they will be ignored. Okay, we will see what is this Boolean condition. Okay, so we write this condition, Boolean condition, using what is known as logical expression or Boolean expression. Okay, they have to return either true or false. Say, for example, I have written an expression, arithmetic expression. You might ask, can we write an arithmetic expression within this, and will that execute? Yeah, that is also possible. Okay, any number which is greater than 0 is considered as true, and any number which is equal to 0 is false. Or for that matter, you can consider like 1 is true and 0 is false. Okay, positive number true, negative number false. Okay, 0 and negative numbers false. Okay, we will see the examples of this one after this session is finished. Okay, I'll try to explain those things with an example. Let's move on to the next control statement, that is for condition. Okay, for loop. So loops, it is like you say, for example, you have a situation where you have to kind of try to execute a set of programs, or not set of programs, set of statements for a specified number of times. Okay, say for example, I want to print hello world 10 times. Okay, I want to print hello world 10 times using simple statement, that is system.out.println or println hello world 10 times. Okay, what you can do is you can write that system.out.println 10 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, one after the other 10 times. That is one way of writing. Okay, but you can also write that same logic using what are known as loops. Okay, there are different kinds of loops, but we will see for loop, or you can say we will get started with for loop using for this loop using for loop. Okay, so the syntax is, it starts with for, okay, and we will have something called as initialization. Okay, we will see what is that initialization. Okay, and then we will have condition that is similar to our Boolean condition, and then iteration. Okay, and it opens with the all those conditions, right? Initialization, condition, and iteration. We will keep it within our parenthesis. Okay, and then statements we will put it within curly braces. Okay, so what it actually does is, we have initialization, right? We will use what are called as loop control variable for this, or we have to use loop control variables for the for using our for loop. Okay, so the initialization condition actually sets your loop control variable to its initial value. Okay, its initial value. I will show you with an example how do you set all those things with an example post this session. Okay, I mean this theoretical part is done. Okay, then condition is like similar to our this one. What is that? Our if condition, but with one difference. Here what we do is, we will test the value of the control variable which we have defined in initialization part of the for loop. Okay, that will also be a Boolean expression which should result in true or false. We should result in true or false. Okay, the third part is iteration. Okay, so how do you want to loop it of a set of statements? How do you want to loop it? Is it like you have to loop it one after the other by incrementing control statement one by one or something like that? Okay, this is how you control the loop control variable changes. Okay, you can change it just one step at a time, or two steps at a time, or multiple steps at a time. The control variable changes. Okay, we will see with an example, with simple examples. Whatever the examples that I discuss in these sessions, right? There will be very, very simple examples. That is to make you understand the concept with a simple, very simple example. Okay, so what I would expect all of you to do is understand the concept and see how that is being explained, and try to implement the same thing in whichever the manner you can implement. Okay, in the sense like say for example, I am just saying I want to print hello world 10 times. Okay, I will show you how to print that 10 times. Okay, but you have to think like, is there any other way? Like, is there can you do something else for doing a similar logic for looping, all those things, and then you have to try on your own to do more and more programs. Then only you will get better understanding of whatever the concept that you have learned in the training, as well as if at all any doubts comes, you try to solve those doubts with the knowledge you have gained, or you try to find some more knowledge from online, whichever the way. Okay, finally, if you don't get any answer to your question, you can always post it. Okay, that is the way I always suggest others to learn. Okay, so now we have seen the syntax for if control statement and then for loop. Okay, then let's see, is there anything else? Okay, so yesterday we have seen arithmetic operator. I mean, in the last sessions we have seen arithmetic operators, right? So let us see what are these. How do you make these Boolean expressions? Okay, for for that matter, any expression contains your operands and your operators, okay, and it will result, it may or it may not result in a value, okay. So in addition, if you say like if you want to add two numbers, you'll get the sum of the number as a result, okay. That two numbers will be like number 1 plus number 2. That will be an expression, arithmetic expression, which results in your sum. Okay, similar to that one, logical operators we use for our Boolean expression or logical expression. Okay, so whenever you use a logical expression or Boolean expression, the result will always be either true or false. Okay, either true or false. That is why wherever we mention Boolean expression, you can use this, or Boolean conditions. Okay, you can use this Boolean expression. Okay, and you can see these control statements being used in n number of situations in your real-time world. Okay, in the sense like when you are writing your code, or when you see your the code when you get into a company, right? You see n number of places where you see this if statement, and where you see your for statements and all. Okay, so you see n number of places, because your business logic itself depends on multiple conditions. Okay, say for example, what happens when this condition is met? Say for example, you have one particular screen. Okay, you have a set of fields in that particular screen. I'm talking about web applications. So say for example, if you have two fields, the two fields itself will have multiple conditions. Okay, for simple, if we take a very simple this one, what is that example? Login page for any web application, or even for your Gmail ID, right? Login application. Okay, if you don't, you'll have a number of if conditions, because the first condition is if you don't enter your username and password, immediately you'll get a message saying like, yeah, I have not entered user ID or password or something like that, right? If you enter your user ID, and if you don't enter your password, again you will get some other message. Okay, if you enter both user ID and password, and if the password is wrong, again you will get some other this one, what is it? Some other error, or some other notice or message, right? Saying like, okay, one of them is wrong, something like that. Okay, all these things are kind of like conditions. Say it initially checks whether you have entered username and password or not. Okay, if it is not, display this message. If it is, if you have entered username, if you have not entered password, this is the message. If you have entered both, check whether both are valid. Okay, if both are not valid, then you will get other error message, or not no message. Some message you will get it. Okay, all those things are kind of like implemented using these control statements. Specifically, the further scenario what I am discussing, that is implemented using your if statements. Okay, so using Boolean operators, we can kind of like write our Boolean expression. So let us see what are these Boolean operators or logical operators. Okay, the basic logical operators are your less than symbol, greater than, equal to. Okay, here it is very, very important because initially people make a lot of or they get confused basically. When they mean equal to, they write just simple equal sign. Okay, but in programming language, simple equal, one equal sign is assignment operator rather than it is equal to operator. Okay, you have to remember here equal to operator is double equal sign. Okay, double equal sign, and then we have other two. These are all basic things. If at all anything are there, we'll go and add those things when we get into that point, when we go to that particular point. Okay, so this is less than or equal to and greater than or equal to symbols. Okay, using these arithmetic operators plus logical operators plus your if statement plus your for loop, you can write n number of you can write n number of programs, some simple basic programs for testing the understanding of whatever we have discussed today. Okay, we will try some examples, simple examples after the theoretical part is done. Okay, so let's move on to the other topic, that is code blocks. Okay, so we have seen in our if statement and for statements, that is the statements within our flower brackets, right, or curly braces. Okay, so is it really needed? Okay, we will see whether that is needed or not. Okay, so these curly braces are kind of like, you can say, that are related to code blocks. Okay, so say for example, if you have a set of statements, okay, that needs to be kind of like a unit of statements that needs to get executed. Okay, more than 2 statements, you can put it in curly braces, not necessarily after your if statement or control statement. You can have separate curly braces and then write all your whatever the statements that you want to execute as a set of those statements, interrelated statements or something like that. Okay, so those whatever you write within curly braces, right, they are called as code blocks. Without if statement or with if statement or for loop, right, those are called as code blocks. For example, we have seen in for loop, if it is more than 1 statement, we have to use this particular curly braces, and all the statements should be within that curly braces. Okay, if there is only one particular statement, then the curly braces are not required. Okay, it is optional. I repeat, if there is only one particular statement, if there is only one statement that needs to be executed, say for example 10 times, okay, curly braces are not required. The same logic applies to if condition as well. Okay, if there is only one statement for the condition for which, or if the condition is true and if we have to execute only one statement, curly braces are not required. Okay, so let us see a few examples. Okay, I have created a simple class, control statements. Okay, let us see what is our first control statement. Okay. So I will declare 2 variables, integer num1 equals 10. Okay, and num2 equals 20. Okay, so if you see, you have not only defined, you are assigning the value to the integer while you are declaring the integer itself. Okay, that is also possible. Okay, in our previous session, what we have seen, we first declare the variable and then we assign the value to variable. Okay, but this way is also possible. Okay, you can declare a variable and assign a value to it when you are declaring it. Okay, that is also possible. And also I have declared these 2 as integers, right? Integer number 1 and number 2. This can also be declared and assigned value like this. comma 20. Okay, it is also possible like this. You can do this way also, because now integer num1 and num2 will be integers, and you have assigned the values like this. Okay, but you have to remember that every statement should end with a semicolon. Okay, so now what I will do, I will try to write which one is greater or which one is less. Okay, I will use two statements. Okay, if num1 is greater than num2, okay, what I will write, num1, okay, is greater than num2. Okay, then we will see, we will write if num2 is greater than num1, we'll again say okay, that's it. This is our if statement. So what we are trying to do here is, we will take the value of num1, or we are comparing the value of num1 with num2 using logical operator. Okay, what we are trying to do, or what we are trying to ask, we are trying to ask a question saying, is number 1 is greater than number 2? Yeah, correct, exactly, Subhash. Yeah, is number 1 greater than number 2? We are just asking. If the answer is true, for the first if statement I am talking, if the answer is true, this particular statement will get executed. Okay, then after this statement, this you can consider as one particular unit of statement. Okay, yeah, Hari. Hari is asking a question, can we use else statement? Yeah, that is what, as we are discussing, right? This is the basics of core Java, right? I'm just getting started with the Java. As I told you, we will see if there are any, if we need to include anything else for these control statements. These are just very simple control statements, if and for, okay? So the else part, all those things, else is part, whatever other stuff, right? We will always discuss those things when we go to that particular point. Okay, so that is what, just listen to what I am trying to tell, and then whatever the things, right? No need, Hari. Yeah, whatever the questions that comes to your mind, you can ask. But my point is, as I always keep telling, this is a batch where we are trying to teach all the students, even who don't have a computer science background, trying to kind of like explain in very basic way to make them understand also the programming concepts. Okay, so that they at least try to write simple programs first, and then understand the concepts, and then try to write some complicated programs on their own. Okay, and try to do many things. Okay, in the sense like experiment on their own. Okay, that is the only basic idea. Since we are trying for getting started with our programming, right? We are just slowly kind of like starting, I mean, with the very basics. Okay, so what I was doing is, what I was telling is, okay, this is one set of statements. So this is one if statement. This is another if statement. Okay, like we have seen it, right? When we write a program, the statements executes one after the other. Okay, here what happens? This is the first statement that gets executed, and number 1 is assigned 10. This is the second statement that is executed. Number 2 gets executed, or number 2 is assigned value 20, and then this if statement gets executed, and then this if statement gets executed. Okay. So are you trying to understand what I'm telling? Is this visible to everyone? Yeah, here, yeah, Subhash. Yeah. This is just for our what I told you, right? These are all Subhash. Like I have written these things intentionally. Okay. So this is just like how you use if statements. Okay. With just these two variables, how you use this if statement. That's it. Okay. So first, what I'm doing, you can just by as Hari told, you can use else statement. But let us see what we. As of now, we have seen only if statement. That's it, right? So let us try to kind of like implement wherever it is possible. How many times ever if we can try to implement in our simple programs. Okay. So the same thing I'm trying to do. I mean, we know which is greater or which is smaller. Okay. Just yeah, you can good that you brought this point. We can write other way also. Okay. So let us finish this one first. What I'm trying to explain. Okay. So first time what I'm doing, now I'm checking whether num1 is greater than num2 or not. If num1 is greater than num2, this particular statement will get executed. Okay. Then what I'm doing, I'm checking whether num2 is greater than, oh sorry, that's what you told, I guess. Yeah, num2 is greater than num1. Thanks, Subhash. I think Subhash was pointing to this one only as trying to check num2 is greater than num2. Okay. Okay. So whichever the condition, this condition is true for one of the, I mean, at least one of the if statements should have true, right? Boolean expression should result true. That particular statement will get executed. Let us see. Let us try to run this program. Okay. Yeah. Here, which one got executed? We know that 20 num2 is greater than num1, right? So this condition became false. Okay. And this condition became true. That is why it is showing 20 is greater than 10. 20 is, that is why it is showing 20 is greater than 10. Okay. 20 is what? This your num2, and 10 is what? Num1. Okay. So when I was telling something to, or when I was answering the Subhash's question, I got this thing also. Let's see. Okay. Let's see what how we can use less than symbol. Okay. Less than. Okay. I guess this is correct. Okay. Let us execute this. Okay. Did you understand this one? I'm just checking whether num1 is less than number2. Is what I'm checking is number one is number one less than number2? If you say yes, then this particular statement will get executed. Next I am checking is number2 less than number1. If this is true, this will get executed. Okay, let us try to run and see. Okay, now we see 10 is less than 20. So this statement becomes true. Okay, and this statement becomes false. So this is not executed. This one is executed. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Did you understand this logic? How if statement works? I'm just talking about if statement. Okay. We will see other alterations, or if we have to include any other keywords to if statement, we will see later. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Mohammed says he understood this. Okay. Good. Yeah. Okay, so you have understood. I assume all of you have understood. Only a couple of people have confirmed. Hari Muhammad confirmed. So I'm assuming all of you have understood how to use this condition. Okay, just think like how we use if in our day-to-day conversation. Okay, that is where we can use this if statement. Okay, programming language basically like if you see how you code, right? It's all the keywords. Like if is also a keyword. Okay, so and the for is also a keyword, Java keyword, right? So whenever you are trying to learn, right, or whenever you are trying to code, yeah, yeah, thanks, Uchina. So whenever you are trying to code, right, just think in a way like you are normally speaking to some other person, or how you normally kind of like put those things in normal English while you are speaking, right? Then it becomes very easy. Okay, coding will become very easy. Okay, so we have understood this one, how if statement can be used. Okay, greater than or equal to, we have seen, right? Greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and then equal to is there. Okay, let us see. So how this value is printed, that is very interesting. Okay, let me see system dot out dot println. Okay, so I want to print the result. Here we are not seeing what is number 1 greater than number 2, is number 2 greater than number 1, is number 1 greater than number 2, is number 2 less than number 1. Okay, I'm not able to see whether that is generating the actual result that we want to see. Okay, so we have seen this one, right? Integers, floats, and double. They are all what? They are all data types. Okay, that we have seen last time in our last session. So whenever we write a class, that is also a data type. Okay, we can use that is called as user defined data type. That user defined data type can also be used as used for declaring variables. Okay, we have seen how just a high level view I gave you, how those things can be used. User defined data types can be used when we create objects of that particular user defined data type using new operators. Okay, we'll explain those things in detail in our upcoming sessions. Okay, so similar to that one, we have something called as Boolean data type. Okay, we have something called as what? Boolean data type. Okay, before getting into that one, we will see what is the value of, how that value is displayed. Okay, like these expressions, whichever we have used in our if statement. Okay, let me see. Is num1, or I will say is num1. Okay, please note how I am putting this, how I am using appending operator. Okay, by now you should know how to write appending operator with strings. Okay, appending operator. Okay, num1 is num1 greater than num2 okay, so this is a parenthesis, we will see. Okay, so what exactly happens is there are something called as order of execution of statements. Okay, whenever you're using these kinds of things. So what exactly happens inside this is, first this particular statement, okay, this is the one which gets executed and the result will get appended to this whole string. Okay, let us see how that is done. So what is the value that we are seeing here? False. Okay, okay, let us see the other way. Okay, true, right? This is true and this is false. Like we have for integers, we have assigned 10 and 20, right? For integers, that is for integers. Integers is data type. Int is a data type. We declare a variable, or we declared a variable that is num1, okay, which is of type integer, and we have assigned a value of 10 to num1. Similarly, we declared a variable num2 of type integer and assigned a value 20 to it. Okay. Similar to that, we can declare variables of type Boolean. Boolean. Okay. We can say greater number, whatever it is. Okay. Initially, you set it to false. I'm just giving an example. Okay. Or you can declare false. Okay. So okay. So this will result your true or false, that will get assigned to your greater number, whatever the number that is. Okay, this is how you use your Boolean, or you can say you declare your Boolean variable and assign values to that one. Or you can say you can assign true. Okay, so in integer you have you can assign values, either positive values, negative values, and they will have their own range of values. Okay. For example, assume that you have written, what I'm telling, you have written a programming language, and for integers it accepts only say 1 byte of information. Okay, you can assign only 1 byte. Okay, so in that case, what are the possible values that you can assign to that integer? 0 and 1. That's it, right? So similar to that one, each language if it is a strongly typed language, programming language. What do you mean by strongly typed programming language? A type is simply as I told you, it represents a data type. Okay, so for using any variable, okay, you have to declare that variable, associate it with the particular data type. Okay, without declaring a data variable with data type, you have to assign that variable. You have to declare a variable and associate it with a particular data type. Okay, for example, int num1. Okay, that is one variable. So why do you declare the data type of a variable? That is an important question. Okay, in strongly typed programming languages, each data type occupies a specific number of bytes. Okay, specific number of bytes. When you declare the data type of a variable, as I mentioned in my previous session, your JVM will allocate that particular number of bytes for that variable. Okay, that particular number of bytes for that variable. For example, let us assume in Java, integers occupies 4 bytes of data. Okay, 4 bytes of data. That is how many bits? 8 into 4, 32 bits. Okay, assume that int occupies 4 bytes of data. So as soon as you declare an integer variable, int variable, 4 bytes your JVM will take 4 bytes from RAM, and then it allocates, it returns the address of that one, and that variable, declared variable, will be pointing to that particular address. Okay. So what I was trying to make you understand is the values. That number of bytes defines the range of numbers from negative to positive numbers. Okay. Now, from negative number to positive number, what is the boundary of the numbers that you can use with that particular data type? Please let me know if you have any questions till now, because we will see all these things. What is the range of an int from negative to positive? If it is only positive, what is the range? All those things. Okay. But I wanted to give some high level knowledge on this one, the range of values that you can use. Just I don't want to tell you the range, but I'll say like there are from this negative number to this positive number you can use for integers. Okay. Not only integers, that applies to both all other data types as well. Okay, like your floats, your double, all those things. Okay. So similar to that one, Boolean will have only two values. Okay, it can be, Boolean variable can have either true or it can have either false, nothing else. Okay, it can be either true or false, Boolean variable. Okay, that is why I have showed you I have shown you this particular thing. Okay, false or true, that's it. Yeah, for false or Subhash is asking for equal number, what would be the output for true or false? Okay, let us assume. Okay, let us take this one only. Okay. If okay, let us see this one only. We will try to print. Okay. Let us copy this one only. Is number one less than number one? Okay, false. Okay. Now what we should use here? Equal to, double equal to sign. Okay. So what are we testing? We are just seeing whether true or false, right? So what is the value? True. Okay, Subhash. So when we are trying to see whether two numbers are equal, it either gives you either true or false, right? Say for example, let's see. Now I will change this to okay. This is the answer for your question. When you test for equality, it says which number is just by looking at two numbers, you can say whether it is true or false, right? So similar to that one, it says like that only. The only possible values that you can assign or a Boolean expression can give you is true or false. Okay. Now let me unmute you, Subhash. Okay, what you are trying to ask? Yeah. Yeah, ask your question, Subhash. I have unmuted you. Please ask your question. Can you hear me? Now, you are asking what I understood from your question is, you are asking what will be the output if you try to compare two equal numbers or when you use equal operator, logical equal operator. Okay, that is why I explained these two scenarios. Okay, if number 1 is equal to number 2, it says true. Number 1 is equal to number 1, yeah, it is true. And if it is number 1 is equal to number 2, no, it is not true, right? Both are not equal. That is why, okay, so you understood what I tried to understand. Okay, so did you all understand how to use if statement and basic logical operators and additional operators? Please say yes or no, because it's already 9. We will see another, yeah, couple of more minutes, and then we will wind up the call. Okay. Okay. So since like everyone understood this one, please, what I always tell, right? We started this basic programming stuff with syntaxes just because I wanted you to get started with programming. Okay, so then you'll also start experimenting more and more. You'll get more and more interest in classes also. You'll get more and more, as you do things more and more, you'll get a lot of questions. Okay, so then you can kind of like try to answer to your questions on your own, or you can pose those questions to us for your clarification. Okay, that is what is the method we'll adopt here. Okay, as much as possible, try to write programs, even if it is even if you are writing one program 10 times with different using same statements also, it doesn't make, I mean, like, it makes sense. Okay, for me it makes sense. Okay, so that is how I learned programming. Okay, so it is not like you are by hearting, you are trying to kind of like cement whatever the knowledge you are gaining from your session by writing the same program multiple times. Okay, maybe say one time you write hello world, another time you might write hello world, I'm learning Java. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so try to practice, try to write programs, even if you think that is a very simple or silly program, write the program and execute it. Okay, that is what I always suggest. Okay, concept we can easily understand. Today it will be there, tomorrow you will forget it. But when you try to implement it using programs, right, that is when you start understanding and you'll remember those things very well. Okay, so let us stop this one. From in our next session we will start the for loop. Anyway, I have shown you this one. Okay, let me finish that as well. Okay, what I do is we will try to print hello world 10 times. Okay, for that we'll write int I is equal to 0 semicolon I less than 10, this one I is equal to I plus 1. Okay, this is what I am writing. I want to print this 10 times. Thanks, Vijay. Okay, so this part, as we discussed, if you see the syntax, this is the initialization part, this is the conditional part, and this part is our iteration part. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are declaring an integer I and initializing it with 0. Okay, this is our control variable for this loop. Okay, this is our condition which checks whether the control statement is true or false. Okay, this is how we increment the control statement, or we say this is how the control variable has to increment. What we are doing for every variable or for every iteration, it increments. Okay, say for example, we can print that also. Okay, so initially what happens when the statement starts executing, it comes here. Okay, it assigns I to 0, and then it checks whether I is less than 10. Yeah, it says yes, it is true. Then it prints this. Okay, the for loop this particular for loop executes as long as this condition is true. Okay. Once this condition is false, it comes out of this for loop and then prints okay, this particular statement gets executed. Okay, let us see this result. Okay. Okay. Okay, see here you can see control value 0 to 9. Okay, you can say this as 1 to less than or equal to 10. Okay, but usually we start with the 0 and we'll say less than 10. Okay, because say for example you are using there are something called as the arrays. Okay, so index, you array is nothing but you store a similar type of data, multiple data. In one variable you will say multiple values. In integer num1 you can store only one value, right? Similar to that one, if you declare an array of num, you can store many numbers based on the size of that array. Okay, in that case the index, we will see those things. Okay, in that case the index always starts with 0. That is why we always start this particular variable with 0 and we always test less than 10. That is the common practice. Okay, this is I is equal to I plus 1. Once this statement executes, okay, this is how the sequence happens. Okay, first this gets initialized and this condition is tested. Okay, if it is true, this particular statement gets executed. Then it comes here, it increments the control statement by 1, that is I, and then this condition gets tested. This statement will get executed whether the value condition is true or false. Okay. Another topic that we discussed was, if there is only one statement, do we need curly braces? Okay. So let us see whether that is needed or not. Okay. I am using single line comment to comment out curly braces. Okay, please note all those things. They are all very important. Even though it is a comment, it is very important. Okay, so that is why wherever possible, I will try to explain those things. Okay, so okay, so you don't see any errors right now. So if there is only one statement, we can always ignore the curly braces. Okay, so is it possible for putting these curly braces here and here? Yes, it is possible. That is what the code blocks are. Here, if you put curly braces, right, this will become your code block. Okay. So let us execute. So we get the same answer, right? Same result we will get it. And also note that after the loop is done, from 0 to 9, this is 10 times. 0 to 9 is 10 times. That is what we wanted to print, right? 10 times we want to print. After the loop is done, okay, the statement after the for loop gets executed. Okay, that is the normal execution. So what we are testing, when this becomes I becomes 10, this condition becomes it no longer is true. That is when the loop, we come out of this for loop. Okay, the for loop executes as long as the condition part of your for loop is true. Otherwise, it comes out of for loop and executes the very next statement that exists after for loop, that we have written after for loop. For example, here this is the statement. Okay, let us wind up this session. If you have any doubts, try this experimentation, or do some R&D on for loop and if statement, and try to write some programs. Okay, some programs, so that you understand all the concepts very well. Okay, we will discuss. If you have any doubts, we will discuss on for loop. We will discuss in our next session. Okay. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for attending on weekend. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. But try writing programs. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great day. But also, I would like to tell one thing. I want to know the feedback. Okay, about my teaching, so that if there are anything that needs to be improved, I would always try to improvise the teaching. Okay, so if you can give the feedback to Yuvraj, that would be great. Okay, I know some of you have given, but I would like all of you to give your feedbacks, so that we can incorporate those suggestions, right? Whatever you provide, those suggestions, we will try to incorporate it, so that our sessions are more interesting and interactive. Okay, thank you so much.